finished based on just a couple what ifs and 3.5 minutes of discussing it. Your original idea.
So the original idea was a $2.6 billion cancer vaccine that the government is hiding.
Got it. And then the transformation of that idea to now, as you guys understand it, as you would re-pitch it.
That is a tiny company in San Diego.
They move?
All the time. Every time we reiterate it, it changes. The tiny company in Boulder, Colorado is set to be approved on a cancer vaccine in a $2.6 billion market that we're doing next up there.
Well, on a specific,
right.
like cancer ending date that's upcoming, very soon date.
So you've got an implied profit promise in that now that you didn't have the first time.
Yeah.
Because you're juxtaposing that tiny company versus the size of the market. And you've got urgency.
And you've got
the
the
coming date.
urgency.
And you've got a little bit of intrigue because you've renamed this cancer vaccine into something interesting.
Yeah.
So does everybody see how just quickly discussing ideas can take it from something that seems a little bit more ordinary to something that's even more extraordinary? Okay, good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready?
That looks like it's gonna be.
That's quick. Quick and change 'em.
So we was hoping that our headline and the pitch would be the same thing, kind of in a way so we understood what the idea was immediately. So what we got is hidden from Americans for 101 years, a Supreme Court ruling that led to an income stream called Rockefeller royalties, Wall Street's best kept secrets.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do people immediately understand what it is? Rock?
I don't know how to phrase this into what if. I guess where I'm stuck is it feels like news, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, what if there's something that made me feel like I wanted to act on it?
Say that one more, that last part again.
What if there was something in there that made me want to act upon it? Like, it feels like, oh, that's
Like
neat
a date or
information,
something, like you're
but I want to keep
okay.
scrolling. It's like, oh, that's neat. And then,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Say it again. Can you read it or just talk about it again? You don't have to read it.
Sure. So pretty much this is a Supreme Court ruling that was that happened over a century ago, and what it led to was a breakup of a company that since then has it's about like 26 companies who do the same thing. It's the underlying idea is dividends from oil companies, right? It's royalty. You earn royalties, and we figured that using the name Rockefeller just kind of invoked that idea. Rockefeller, rich, oil, royalties. You are making money.
Okay,
Rockefeller
but
royalties.
let me stop you real quick. Okay, so your ordinary idea is invest in dividend-paying oil companies.
Yes.
Tell me the extraordinary idea really succinctly again. You don't have to read it. Just again, you can if you want. I'm just saying.
It's investing in a royalty, in a specific royalty that was created by a Supreme Court ruling.
What if you? Yeah, I would say just what if you add that value proposition to it of some sort of gains? It sounds to me like the big hook there is that you're going to make money off this thing, right?
Yeah. Right.
So what if you added that to the copy there somewhere?
Specificity is his promise, right? So how to make $4,700 a week in Rockefeller royalties.
Yeah,
That's what you're suggesting, right?
Correct, yeah.
And I think that's going what Jimmy's saying too, is basically just adding a promise in there for the reader, other than just Rockefeller royalties. What if you added a specific profit promise?
Right. Okay.
A Supreme Court ruling 101 years ago now has led to the creation of Rockefeller royalties that could earn you an additional $4,700 a month.
Okay.
That could earn you 3 times the average Social Security check, whatever that might be, however you position the promise.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are suggesting.
Correct.
We were kind of going down that route too, but we just figured we don't want to put too much into it at once. But
You can put a lot into it. I mean, it's like it has to be one idea, the rule of one, which sounds a little kind of like contradictory than to say that there should be more parts of it. But you can think of all the parts that make that one thing, right?
Right.
And they should all connect in a certain way. So you want to have promise in there. You want to have whatever things you can add to it. Social proof in there. You want to have some sort of mechanism in there that you kind of have.
right. Okay.
So if if you looked on that one sheet that I handed out last week, it lists off, I listed out little pieces and parts of some of those big ideas, and it's usually like, 5 or 6 things are in there, really. It's not just, that, like we talk about in shorthand, we say Canadian Social Security, but really, like, that's just us talking about an idea from the past. When it was presented, there was a lot more pieces and parts to what that idea meant.
What if in the idea, the pitch, you show me other people around the United States that are taking advantage of Rockefeller royalties as well?
Right.
So again, you're ordinary, invest in oil-paying dividend companies. You're extraordinary, forget about the headline, because that's the expression of the extraordinary, right?
Mhm.
If you're just pitching it, it's like if you're sitting next to someone at a bar, and you say, hey, can I tell you a quick story? And they say, yes. Now you get their attention, right? Hey, did you know that I'm gonna screw this up, but I'll get the broad brushstrokes correct. Did you know 101 years ago that there was a Supreme Court ruling that has now led today, for some reason, to this thing called Rockefeller royalties, and that you can use it to make $4,700 every single month in and out? And I'll tell you, it may sound unbelievable, but I've researched this situation, and Susan B. from Oklahoma has already used it to make $87,000 this year. And John C. from Tallahassee, Florida, has already used it to make, so what if you add that type of stuff in there?
Yeah, definitely. That adds to it.
John, last
What
one.
if, what if you could take, instead of Rockefeller, you could use the guy that was the oil guy? Remember, he had the oil monopoly back in the early turn of the century. I can't remember his name though. Huh? No, part of the century. Way back, like the 40s and the 30s. Remember he? Huh?
Wasn't that Rockefeller?
Carnegie?
Yeah, I think it was Carnegie.
No.
Yeah, he was still. Anyways, like Carnegie, but he owned the oil thing. What if you could like that? And he said there was 20. Then he said there was 26 things. So what if you could like map it out and say, hey, if you were to invest each one of these, they could be like your own extra Social Security check, and you could say, hey, invest in company one, it'd be an extra $200. Next one, and that would be your.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so like 26 income streams or something?
Yeah, kind of like that, but it would be like more like Social Security checks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Hey.
How many more do we have? 1, 2, 3, 2, something like that.
So we're doing the number 2. So they're about to have this. The big idea is that a cancer discovery that's worth, they can take 10 grand and turn it into $40,900. How we came up with that is that we took pre-IPOs, kind of made an average of what they made if you got it right before the not pre-IPO, but pre-FDA approval.
Yeah.
So we took an average of the FDA approval, and that's how much the money would shoot up, which was like roughly 409%, which we came up with. Obviously, have to validate that. So the other thing is that the editor's going to go on live and prove that it's actually validated. So he's going to stick his arm in it. As soon as that goes in, bang, it's going to approve, and the company takes off. We're calling it the super drug. It's better than penicillin. So you guys they understood the audience would know what penicillin is. They would know how much of a discovery that is. So how much they can kind of visually see what that could do to their portfolio, because it's just like penicillin, it's going to work. The other thing I came up with just sitting there is that I would like to see if we can't find some way that the company's about to be acquired that fits right into when the FDA is going to be approved of it, and if we can tie that in somehow with all the proof and all that, like if they broke ground on the Patriot Tower, whatever that, when they broke ground zero, so it was like all this big giant explosion thing on that one day.
Basically, to summarize, the ordinary idea was small market cap pharmaceutical with stem cells, but the big idea is it's like the next penicillin. It's going to revolutionize. Like stem cells can cure so many different things.
What is?
I got one.
Sir.
Is or was penicillin the pinnacle of drugs for Grandpa Kurt? Was that or was there something even more powerful? Here's why I say that is penicillin feels like it's, I don't know.
It might be.
It feels negative. There's a negative connotation with penicillin. For me, it's like more power, or however you phrase it.
Yeah, the
How'd
next
you phrase that
penicillin.
with penicillin?
The next penicillin, or
The next penicillin, or I don't know. There's something kind of like wah wah.
Was yeah. I was
Yeah.
wondering
Flip it into a what if.
What if you used a drug that was more of a lifesaver or life transformer for
Penicillin, I mean,
Grandpa
if you
Kurt?
rewind back to when you have to put
That's
the
what I
issue,
mean,
you have to
yeah.
rewind back when there was no penicillin. People were dying from a cut. They were dying from.
Yeah, I
You know,
disagree.
yeah.
Penicillin was like,
Well,
Yeah, it was
When,
pretty big
when
breakthrough.
did it come to be? come to.
Well, I guess the question is, does Grandpa Kurt really understand the impact of penicillin?
Right.
History buff like that.
Did
That's what I was
did it come
wondering.
out when he
What
was
about-
in the war, in the Vietnam War?
What if you use the flu vaccine? Because the flu has killed millions of people, millions. It still does.
Yeah, but you still get, I mean, flu, yeah, you do, but flu vaccine. Yeah, flu vaccine, right?
Yeah.
What else? Other what ifs? And again, we could, I mean, you don't, like we said, you don't always have to take a what if, so I mean, what we're going through is healthy right now.
Yeah, yeah, I would say what if, maybe rather than like it having to be something that actually did change the course of medicine, what if it was something that was just more emotionally relevant to Grandpa Kurt? Assuming that even though that penicillin may have been this revolutionary discovery, for him, like throughout his lifetime, it's something that he's taken for granted, possibly. So maybe something, what if it was,
I think that's going off course of what we're trying to do, though. We're trying to create this motion explosion where this thing's about to launch. It's like, hey, you know, if he was seeing ground floor of this thing when penicillin took off, it's just like penicillin, because when they took it, like, everybody got help. So that's what we're saying with this. So if this thing works, it's supposed to, you know, cure heart disease, cure cancer, and all that. So we're wanting, you know, create this explosion impact on day one.
What's the payoff? What's the percentage of the payoff?
It's 409%.
Okay, so if all that happens, what if the payoff matches the size of the promise? You're talking about curing all this shit and 409%
Yeah, I mean,
payoff?
It could be way more than that. That's what I could come up with physically in the
Right.
time span I
You
had.
gotta go, you gotta go big.
It's probably
If
way
one of
more
those
than
things
that.
happens,
Right.
it's the best thing Kurt's ever seen.
I wish, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be way bigger than that, but I mean, physically, all I could come up with,
Yeah.
at least I came up with a number, so I was
Yeah,
trying, you know.
yeah, Bloomberg.
So I was, we were there trying to get things to work, and it wasn't working. Well,
Yep.
okay, let's just go with that for now and come up with that. You're right. I would love a giant number like, you know, 10 grand is only 40 million, but I
So this
can't
is a
change it.